All right, guys, welcome to the Warriors Arise Mom Talk podcast vlog here on YouTube. Are you a mom with a successful business feeling overwhelmed with life, with the daily demands? Today, we are going to talk about real life, catching up, having some real conversations on this episode. This channel, we like to share all things business, faith, parenting tips, tricks to strengthen your identity into all that God has called you to be. So if you're a perfect mom, this channel is not for you. But if you're a mom with a business and want to be a present mom, then this is your channel. Today we're going to catch up, talk about real life stuff while running a business and running a family. So Jojo, what's up, girl?
What's up, you guys? So I look like I'm in mourning. I'm wearing black. I have a black background. I'm like,
Back to
black is not my favorite color, guys. It's pink, but that's okay. Sometimes in life, everything seems a little darker, right? And that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, Yennefer and I were like, okay, what's our topic today? We could talk about a million different topics, but instead, we're like, we're gonna catch up on the things. Guys, Halloween just happened here, and I'm losing my voice. And it's been crazy. And I think that that sometimes is life. Like when we're running a business, when we're trying to be mom, it is just crazy sometimes. And so, what do we do in those moments? We wear all black, right? Just kidding. Just kidding. But sometimes it is like, how do we do and how do we keep up with the daily demands of life? So, Yennefer, this week was nuts for me. My kids went trick or treating, which might I add, two of my kids, they struggle every year at trick or treating. So we don't even get to really go most of the time. Like trunk or treating, usually they get kicked out, right? Because it's just, we can't handle life. We can't be trusted. We can't handle life. But this year, they functioned and we did it. And we
you
did it,
did.
guys. We
Good for you.
did it.
Good for you.
And so it's
I
like,
do want to share with our people that we did not plan to wear black together today. We didn't talk about our
no,
I
right?
have black pants on. It's so funny. I'm literally dressed in all black. I don't know if I could like share my black pants,
Oh, I know.
but
I got pajama pants on.
I have sweatpants. I have
Big
sweatpants.
mom swag.
We're just doing the mom life. So I do want to share with our followers here that we haven't recorded a video. It's been like almost 2 months. Like I think when you said that, like,
Yes.
how do we do all the things? I feel like right now I'm in a really, and you can speak for yourself, but me, I'm in a really busy season. I'm just gonna call it a season because it's a little bubble
Yes.
of like a few months. I think I still got another month where I'm just kind of like go, go, go. And now the holidays are coming, right? To add on top of all of
Yeah.
that, right? We just finished October, we just started November. Literally, my daughter's birthday is November 23rd, and then Thanksgiving is the 28th, and then we get into Christmas. Okay. So it's like we have a lot going on. So I feel like in the last 2 months, on top of what's coming up, and I'm like in this season of like busyness and all of that. And I was just like, let's just have a normal conversation. Let's catch up and all the
Yeah.
things. So I know we haven't made a video in almost 2 months, and we have wanted to, guys. Okay, every time we
We
try,
text every week.
we text every week about Saturdays. That's our day to make videos. That we have a little bit more time. And we have been rescheduling. Okay. And I am sorry that we haven't been here, but life has been crazy. So I don't know what you want to start with. I mean, I wrote down like 8 things that are happening in my life right now.
Let's start
I
with
was
it.
like, what
Start
are
with
the
it,
things?
Yennefer.
Okay, I'm gonna start with the hurricane. Okay, like we got hit with Hurricane Lee. That was like the craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean, I lived in Florida for a very long time, 8 years. So I've been used to like hurricane prepping and all the things. I moved to South Carolina 3 years ago. We've been here 3 years. Not in a million years, I thought that I was going to be in the middle of a hurricane or hurricane prepping up by the mountains. Okay. Like we live close to the mountains, like hurricanes don't happen over here. And it was like the craziest thing I've ever experienced here in this state. So we lost power for a whole week. Okay. No power, no nothing with, 5 children at home. Okay. It was a little cray cray.
And
Okay.
it's not cold. Let's throw that in there. It's not cold, I'm sure. I'm in
It is
Texas, and it's
It
not
is
cold here.
not cold. Okay. So it was hot at night. People couldn't sleep. It was just, we made the best of it because you know what? We are a family that we practice personal development. And we
Yeah.
obviously are very, focused on our faith. We prayed a whole lot more that week. I tell you that much. Okay, we try to find the positive in the craziness. So even though, we lost power, right? We were like, okay, what are the good things that could come out of this? What are the lessons that we can learn from this? And, what is the good out of this? So one of the things that I took back from that, I learned a few lessons, to be honest, and I think that my kids also learned a few lessons. First of all, we learned how to be present with no electronics for a whole week.
Yes.
We played so many board games, and we spent so much time together that when the power came back on, the kids were sad. Like that's how much happiness
Yes.
happened in that time that we didn't have power. So I was like, wow, like that taught me, that we need to create those be present moments more often, right? And
Yeah.
you just have to create it. You just because if you don't, like life is busy, right? It just things get in the way.
Yeah.
Number two, I started my doomsday prepping list. Okay. I was like, I am not prepared. I was not prepared for that. So I started a doomsday prepping list. I've been doing research. I've been buying all kinds of stuff. Okay. My garage is getting full of things. I'm like, I'm never gonna be, in a situation where, where we were not prepared because the reason why we were not prepared is because hurricanes don't really come up here. So we thought we were just gonna get like rain and stuff because that's what the news
Yeah.
said, right? We didn't think that there was gonna be flooding, houses falling. I mean, literally three houses down from us. And we live in a new community. We just moved into this beautiful new community 2 months ago. Three houses away from
Yeah.
us, our neighbor, like the side of the house was like pieces was coming off. You know what I'm saying? And so we were not once again prepared for that. Um, so I learned that I was not prepared for a natural disaster, and now I'm really preparing for whatever, like for anything that
Yeah.
can go down. Okay. I've been doing a lot of research on doomsday prepping things. Really, that's that. I'm just gonna keep it short. Another thing that
Yeah.
I learned or that we focused on was, okay, we lost power, but we didn't lose our house, we didn't lose our lives, we didn't lose a car. Like there was so much devastation around us, like literally 45 minutes from us. It was massive flooding, and that's where Asheville, North Carolina is, because we're really close to North
Yeah.
Carolina, really close to Georgia, and there's people that lost everything there. Like, so when we talk about we lost power, that was minute compared to
Yeah.
the devastation so close to us, like literally 45 minutes, an hour away. There was like water everywhere, houses flooded, no houses, like cities disappeared.
Yeah.
Like there was stuff,
Yeah.
so we were in a place of gratitude for a while there. And then as soon as we were able to, we had power back, we like, my mind was like, how can we help people? Like, what can we do? What can we help people? And I started a wish list for Western North Carolina, and I started making videos online and just posting and sharing with my followers. I didn't have time to go over there or buy things or whatever. So I thought, what can we do with from our little side of the world? Create a wish
Yeah.
list, let our people know. We have tons of friends that are entrepreneurs, business owners, people that are doing big
Yes.
things. I had like one of my friends bought like $1,000 worth of supplies from my wish list, like one person, and those
Yeah.
things were getting dropped off here. And then I connected with a friend of mine that was taking stuff over there. So I was like, all right, girl, send your son, come get all these boxes. It has boxes everywhere in my house. So that was like
So awesome.
those things that came out of that, like, a lot of more gratitude, being in the present, doomsday prepping, and spending a lot of quality time with our children. So that was like the
Yes.
first thing that happened in the last, I would say, 60 days. That was like out of our schedule, not planned craziness.
Yes. Well, and can I add to that? So, like, I've never had a hurricane. We live in Texas, which does happen here, but not necessarily where I live. But
Right.
um, but tornadoes and stuff like that do happen. So we always have to be prepared for that. But when we a few years ago, we started turning off all the power on Christmas Eve, which is kind of weird, but we had an employee that lived in the Philippines and they had lost power and everything over Christmas because of natural disasters.
Yeah.
So that Christmas we just shut off and we had solar panels at that point. So we had shut off all the power and it took a little minute for everything to turn off. So that was kind of hard because we're like, oh, well, they were watching TV and we're like, "Huh." And then it like took a little while. We're like, what the heck? But because
Yeah.
of the solar panels. But So every year now we turn off power. We played that day, like our kids were probably like 4, 5, 6, and 9, maybe. Let's see, I missed a kid. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. Because they're all like bam ages. Um, and I mean, it was crazy because at first they were really scared. They're like, "What are you doing? Like, we're watching TV. It's Christmas Eve." And we're like, "Well, guys, it's bigger than this because other people don't even have power. Like, including people that impact our lives do not have power right now. So we're going to go without power. We're going to see what it's like, right? We're going to just have some family time." Well, then we started playing hide and go seek in the dark. And then we had s'mores. And then like so there were so many things we could do without that extra power. And I think back and I'm like, so we do this now most Christmases. And we tell the kids like, hey, do we want to do no power this time? We don't actually turn off all the power. We just turn off all the lights now.
Yeah.
But even like going to the bathroom in the dark was the biggest challenge in the beginning because they're like scared. It's a bathroom. It's in our house. Like it's fine. Obviously they're little. And so they were like, what the heck is going on? And so we're like, okay, here's our flashlight on my phone, right? And I'm like, here's the flashlight. And we can see enough that we can see, but that's it. And there, I mean, it was scary, but in reality, how are we unplugging our lives to be able to let our family grow? And I think it's one of those things that we could doom on it, or we could have a good time with it. Obviously, with our family, there was nothing natural disaster, nothing dangerous. We could just turn back on our power. But we take for granted so many things all the time, especially our family time. Like we don't do it enough to be
Yeah.
able to say, like, yeah, we are good every single day. We spend so much time together and it's great, you know? A lot of
Yeah.
days are not great. Yeah.
Yeah. My kids were miserable like the first 24 hours, and I think
Hmm.
after that they kind of like it also showed me like their resilience of like
Yes.
going with the flow. Like we worry more than them. We're like, oh my God, they're not gonna be fine or whatever, like and they're gonna be fine. You know what I'm saying? They
They
are
were fine.
these little humans can get through more than what we think they can get through. It's
Exactly.
our brain here that starts to like play tricks on us and our subconscious minds from our own childhood experiences and all of that, right? Thinking about
Exactly.
our experiences. So yeah, man, that was a little cray cray. And I'm very grateful too that I have Jose, that if it wasn't for Jose, I don't know what I would have done because he's very creative.
Uh-huh.
So I'm very grateful that I had a partner in this season, all right? I have a partner that like we are just like figure it out kind of people and we just keep going. Well, another thing that I was grateful for that a lot of people didn't have is our new house has a gas stove. Oh my God,
Yeah.
we were able to cook warm food. Like most people couldn't eat warm food I mean, in our city, there's still people. The hurricane happened like what, like 3 weeks, almost a month ago already. There's still people here that don't have power in our city. There's some areas that they still haven't gotten to. So we were able to eat warm food and cook every day. It was a struggle to keep food like frozen,
Cold.
right? Cold.
Yeah.
So there was no ice everywhere. But you know what's one thing that came out of all that? I met people in my surrounding area that I never would have met if that would have never happened through a Facebook community. We were all helping each other out. And like anytime I needed ice, I would post who has ice. Like, like I have 5 kids at home. I have to keep the food cold. And like that did have power because people were getting power back little by little would
Cool.
freeze ice in Ziploc bags and have them ready for whenever somebody else needed ice. And I was driving to strangers' houses, picking up just like a
Picking
quart-sized
up ice
Ziploc bag of ice.
to throw in a cooler.
With my little cooler, like going around neighborhoods looking for ice, so to make sure that we keep like our meat safe, because after it gets
Yeah.
defrosted for a couple days, right, it's no good. So, that was a crazy experience, but it showed me the first of all the power of vulnerability because I was like, I didn't have to post that out there. I was like, guys, I need help. Like if and then the supermarkets were down, so like if we lost our food, like we couldn't buy nowhere. So it's like this
Yeah.
is the food we got. That's why I was like, I am not prepared to like live if something happens for a while with 7 people that we have to feed, So I'm like,
Exactly.
get prepping, we need more food. But I met amazing people that were willing to help, and the whole vulnerability and the community came together. Like I was just like, wow, like people, like there's still, I have hope in humanity after that experience, to be honest. Like there's still some good people out there, even though there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world. there's good people that just want to help people. And I would have never met those people if that would have never ever happened. You know what I mean? So some
Yeah,
new connections came out of that too.
that's awesome. That is so awesome.
All right, now you tell me something that's happened in the last month that we haven't talked, because that was like one of my things.
Yes. Well, mine's not as crazy as Yennefer's because I mean, not terrible stuff has happened in Texas for me, right? But family wise, I would say we've had our own struggles, right? Like we've had moments where we are trying to figure things out again. And I think that's so important that we discuss that because I think every
Yeah,
family goes through that. Every family kind of works through their own struggles. And that was it for us this month. Like just emotional things that just were not expected. And especially for a couple of my kids, like it was just, when you're mom and you're just like, can we just function? Can we just do the thing?
yeah,
And then you're like, oh, you're actually struggling deeper than that. That's why you're not doing the thing. And I think sometimes it's really hard for us to slow down and see that when our kids are struggling, what is it they actually need? Um, let's share a little bit. So my 8-year-old, one of my 8-year-olds, because they're 3 months apart, if that makes sense. Um, one of my 8-year-olds, he just barely turned 8 on October 7th. And so he really struggles to handle those emotions. Big emotions has always been biggest emotions ever. We had 30 kids as foster parents, and he was definitely and still is our hardest child for
yeah.
emotional regulation, period. Hands down, even though that's what I work with all day, every day. But we got to a little iceberg, I would say, like a little helping out for him. The other day, my husband, I was done. I was like, I got nothing left. Everything that I say to you, you're just mad. Everything I do, you're just mad. Like, okay, you do you. Let me know when you're done, right? So my husband was like sitting in there. It was like 3 hours of just him being mad. Not my husband. My husband's really chill, which thankfully. But it was like 3 hours of my son being mad. And it was like, I think it was right. It was a week last week, I think. So we were going to a trunk or treat that night. And like it was insane. So then anyway, so my husband's sitting there just chilling in his room. And he all of a sudden pulls out his notebook. And my husband was like, what is he doing? And so he starts drawing what he's feeling. And I'm like, finally, we're making some progress.
Yeah,
How many years
yeah.
have we worked on this, right? Well, he's drawing what he's feeling. He's drawing happy faces and frowny faces and what makes him tick. And one of the things that he explained was like, and we've walked through this so many times with him, so many times, is that he feels like, so Corey and I used to teach a concept called love zipper when we were marriage coaches. Basically, it's you have a conflict in your marriage. Usually everything is like becomes bigger because it's a what's the word? A complaint and not a solution, right? So we came up with where you teach your spouse, like the one that feels unloved or whatever is going on, they bring it with a solution to their other spouse. Then the other spouse, then their spouse says, okay, we can do this, or we can, and so they zip it back and forth. So it's just like a jacket where if you're in the winter and it's freezing outside, if you have a broken zipper, you have a little gap in the top and a gap in the bottom, and that's the most obnoxious thing because you have this little piece stuck in the middle, but your jacket's not functional because it's not closed.
That's so
And so
good.
he basically, we had taught him this for years, right? Like when you need something, we're just back and forth and then we figure out our solution. Well, he basically made his own love zipper, which was incredible. He got his notebook and he made this like tree form of it. And he's like, well, when this happens, this is what's happening in my brain. And when this happens, this is what's happening in my brain. And this when this happens, this is what's happening in my brain. And this is why I got so mad over this. And it's like, oof. So
Yeah,
for us,
so
it's
good.
been emotionally rough,
Yeah.
but also some sparks of good, right? And so that was most of I would say our month was mostly emotional
Yeah. But
exhaustion,
I want
whatever
to
that
tell
word
you
is.
that you and your husband is so amazing because you have taught your children this, because that comes from habits and like over time,
Totally.
right? Like doing all these things. It's not like, oh, they just woke up and they decided to like write about their emotions, right? Like it's
No,
like
that would
training
be
their
nice.
subconscious mind. Yeah, that would be amazing, but that's not how life works, right?
It's not
So
how it is.
it's years of like parenting and training your children and teaching them new things. So kudos to you and your husband that he was able to even think outside the box and grab the notebook and
Yes.
you know, and obviously that helps you with your parenting, but you also done a lot to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want you to be acknowledged for that at this time,
Thank you.
you and your husband, because it's not easy parenting kids, especially when
No.
you have children that have difficulty with regulating their emotions. I have one of those too. Well, actually, I have two, but the oldest one does not live with us anymore. And now that person's an adult, they can worry about their own emotional
They
regulation.
can do their emotions. Yes.
Exactly. I don't have to worry about that, but I have a 10-year-old as well, kind of around the same age as your son, that deals with the same thing, is very like exaggerates every little emotion, whether it's good, bad, whatever. It's just big, like you said, big emotion.
Yes.
And when they're not good emotion, or not, let's not say good, it's like when they're not feeling good at that time, because
Yes.
there's no good or bad on how they feel. That's just how they feel. But when it's
Yep.
not good, it's hard to, it takes a lot of time to get them back on the other side.
Yes. And it's so much energy that you don't even
Yes.
understand because you're like, okay, I don't know what actually happened. Why are we even upset right now? Well, what
Right.
happened, But it's even getting to that what happened is like 3 hours worth of trying to
Yep.
figure this out, you
Yep.
know?
I've been
Yeah.
there. I've been there, sitting there
Hmm.
for hours. I'm like, okay, now we have wasted 2.5 hours and we're still getting nowhere. Like, you know what I'm
And
saying?
we're still not sure what to do.
What is going on here? Sometimes I have to take my own time out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
And be like, hey,
exactly.
I'll come back later. Like,
Exactly. Let me know when you're ready. Exactly.
yeah. So I
Exactly.
think that you know, I've dealt a lot with that, like on and off. I wouldn't say like the last month or two since we've talked, but like just on and off for different things. But I do want to share that like what has helped us a little bit in that aspect is also making sure we have routines, especially for
Yes.
that child. Because when we break
Yes.
out of the routine, which we have in the last month, because all these
Oh, yes.
things have happened to us, it's harder to like navigate those things.
Yes.
But when you have a schedule,
Yes.
you have a routine, this is all the things they do, you already know. Come on, we went to the next thing. We went to right, like it's easy
Yes.
to control some of those explosiveness.
Which is what actually, I love that you brought that up, which is what actually started the whole thing because it was a Saturday and the Friday before there was supposed to be another trunk or treat. We didn't get to go because there were too many meltdowns, but they didn't do their chores. Now, in our house, we're like, okay, we have chores every day to keep our routine because when we
Yeah.
don't do a chore one day, the next day and the next 3 days are terrible because you're just like, it's a 2 minute chore. You're sweeping the kitchen floor. It's not this hard. It's not this big. But if we miss a day, that routine is off and everybody goes berserk. So we had already we had a terrible Friday night. So we were like, okay, Saturday, in order to go to this trunk or treat, you guys need to do your chores. You missed out yesterday. Let's do it today. Everybody else had done it except for this one. And he was like, it's Saturday. We don't do chores on Saturday,
Yep.
right? Like, even though our chore chart says all on Saturday as a just in case situation, because it wasn't the normal routine, it's a huge deal now that
Yeah.
didn't need to be exploded into a 2 minute job would have lasted hours. I mean, I'm not even joking about the 3 hours. It probably was closer to five because I think it was started at like 9 o'clock. In fact, it definitely was like 5 hours because my son went to a church activity. My older son, we dropped him off at 8 o'clock in the
Came
morning,
back
which
and
is
you were
when this
still dealing
started.
with it.
Yeah, and my husband came back and was dealing with it 3 hours later to the point where we forgot to pick up my other son, but my friend, his best friend was there, and she calls me and she's like, his mom calls me and she's like, "Hey, do you want me to pick up your son?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, definitely. Is it over?" Like I no concept that it was even
Lost
over.
track
Like,
of time.
and
Yeah.
we were still going for a couple more hours. So like, yes, it's sometimes those
Yeah.
little things are great big.
Part of being a mom, guys, like sometimes we deal with certain, you know, with things like that. And, you know, one of the other things that I've learned through my parenting journey with all my children is that they're all different and they all
Yes.
handle situations different and they all have emotional regulations different. Like I have a 14-year-old daughter that she could control herself. She could do all, even if she's mad, she'll excuse herself and be like, I need my own time out. And she's 13, you know,
Let's
like
go.
I have one like that I don't have to worry about. Like yesterday we went to a farm. We went to like a farm that has like, you know, all kinds of activities and, you know, all of the marshmallow, all the things, right? So she was in this wheelbarrow that they get inside and they like roll down the hill. So it was
Oh.
two smallest, my 10-year-old and my 13-year-old, she fell out of the thing, bumped her head, and she got up and she was like, man, I'm in pain, but I'm fine. I can, I'm fine, I'm fine. You know, she's like, handling it. She's like, I'm just gonna sit right here and I'm not gonna do anything because I just gotta calm down for a little bit. My head hurts, but I'm fine. You know, so you have some kids that they could just like figure it out,
Yes.
they can express themselves, they know what they need and they do what they do. But then you have others that is like, oh no, like they need a little bit more help, more time to like self-regulate.
Yes.
So all kids are different and we just have to, find ways that work for each individual kid. That's what even if it takes more time, is part of the gift that God has given us. God gave us this little child. So that's what we need to do. They're a gift from God,
Yes.
regardless of how one is crazier than the other, not crazier, but like more, some difficult
Yeah,
moments than the other.
exactly.
It is what it is.
Exactly. And I
Okay.
think it's important to recognize they all struggle in different areas, right? Like this one
Yeah.
that can't emotionally regulate, he excels in every academic thing. So it's like we all have our struggles and it's fine.
We all have
Okay, what were you going to
strengths
say,
and
Yennefer?
weaknesses. Yes. Even as adults, like we all have strengths and
Yep.
weaknesses. Okay, all right, let's see what else. Okay, so we'll bounce back and forth. So I have had my beautiful daughter. This is an amazing thing that's happened in the last month. She was actually asked to audition for a play at her theater school for the main role of this huge play that they were doing here in South Carolina, and she ended up being the main role, the lead role. So I've been living out of the theater for the past, I would say, month. She actually has two shows today. So after this, I have to get ready to take it
Nice.
to the theater school. She's had two shows. Yes, she's on show number 8 in the last 2 weeks. So opening night was last Friday, not this Friday, the Friday before that. But prior to that, there's been practices every single day after school. So for the last like month and a half prior to the show starting, I've been literally doing my work calls from the theater school, driving this star around town for the past month. Okay. So it's been amazing because she's never done theater. She's always done music. She goes to the theater school for musical theater and like a lot of like singing stuff, voice lessons, and she's always done shows but for voice or been part of like singing competition. She auditioned for America's Got Talent when she was 8 years old. She's 13
Oh
now.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
so she's been, in a little star world in the music, but this is her first time in theater. Like she didn't even know she was gonna like it. She just auditioned because they saw something in her that she didn't even see in herself. And honestly, I didn't even think that theater was her thing either, until I saw
Yeah.
her perform. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was never part of any of the practices. Like I was just sitting in the lobby and doing my work. And there was one point where I even asked the theater school if they had a conference room where I could do some of my work calls where it was like quiet because the kids running around in the theater, I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I gotta get on with these clients and coach." And they gave me a conference room some of the days. It was so funny. They were accommodating to me. So I'm very grateful to South Carolina.
Awesome.
Christina. Yeah, we love you. And
Oh, my kids just woke up. Can you guys all hear them?
yeah, quiet time.
We're good. They're
I
just right
can't
outside my door. Oh, you can't hear them?
So that no, I can't. So that was something that's happened in the last, I would say, month and a half for our family, and I'm so proud of her. And um, it was just amazing. Like, I mean, it's still running. She will be playing for the next this weekend and the next weekend. And she yesterday, Thursday and Friday, she was excused from school so she could play. She could do the play for schools that were coming in as a field trip. So it's just been an amazing experience. And like you walk into the theater and they have posters of her everywhere, like starting Abigail, like everywhere. And it's just like amazing. I don't know. I'm more excited probably than her
Awesome.
because
But it's amazing. You see her as a star and she gets to shine in who she is. That's awesome.
and she's like yay small. So in this show, she's 13, but she's so tiny. She plays a 7-year-old little girl. So it's like perfect for her because she's like yay small and she looks like a 7-year-old.
That's
And
awesome.
everybody that has gone to see this show has been, I mean, there's reviews about it in different like magazines and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like,
That's cute.
wow, this is like her first big deal, thing. So that has happened. I have like flyers everywhere, girl. Like this is the little girl that she's playing.
Yeah,
And it
I
looks
love
like
it.
her because she has long black hair. She has like caramel skin. It was like perfect for her. Like
Perfect.
when they asked her to be part of this thing, I was like, oh my God, you look like the little girl in the book because it's based on a book. And the book
Yeah,
is actually a New York Times bestseller book. Okay. So it's like a
awesome.
big deal. So the opening night, I went and I found the author of the book and I sent him a clip of like that they had posted of the
That's
show.
awesome.
Yes, so he shared it on his social. He has thousands of
What?
followers, because yeah, so he shared it on his social, and he even responded that she looks perfect on stage, and he was so like excited for Abby. He had no idea who she was, right? But I'm a marketer, and I'm like talking to
Yeah,
everybody.
absolutely. You're gonna just market it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So the opening night, we had like 25 people in our crew, okay, like in our little section. We had like she had her own little section of like fans. And oh wait, one last thing. It was so excited because opening night they had like a reception party after, like to celebrate the opening night in the theater. And when she came out, like she went to get dressed. She had her own dressing room, like with the star. You know how like the stars have their own little dressing room with their name and everything. So she went to a dressing room, she changed into this beautiful dress, and she came out to the reception party. So when we were all there at the reception party waiting for the actors, there's only four actors in that play. But she's the main one. So when she came out, like the whole crowd started screaming and clapping for her. And this little girl walked up to her and she was like, "Hey, I want to take a picture with you. It's my birthday." She was like another 7 or 8 year old little girl. In the show, my daughter in the show, well, in the book, it's a story about a little girl's birthday and how she gets to make wishes. So the little girl, it was her real birthday, comes up to Abby and tells her she wants to take a picture. I was like, oh my God, your first fan. You know what I'm saying? Let's take a picture. It was so cute. So that's something that's happened in my life amongst like, just recovering from the hurricane, trying to get these boxes to send to North Carolina, driving around
Yes.
the starts for her theater stuff, and the academy is not close to my house. It's like 40-minute drive. So every time I'm out, I
Ooh,
just stay out
yeah.
over there to not drive back and forth. So it's been busy. That's why I said it's been such a busy season. I've been wanting to meet with you and record, but
Yeah.
it's pretty good. Not all things were bad, right? Because that was also
Yep.
good, but it's also a lot of time commitment, right?
Yes. Which is
Myself.
what motherhood is. It's all crazy. And there's not usually a set schedule to it.
I would
It's
love that
lots.
though, because I'm a
Yes.
schedule checklist kind of person. Remember, I think like an operator.
Uh-huh.
I'm like,
Most moms are,
that's
which
true.
is why it's always crazy. We think
I'm
in
like, this is not
consequences.
part of the daily thing. I didn't plan for this.
Yes, exactly. How do I fit this in?
Yeah, so
Exactly.
that I fitted it in. We're almost at the stretch. Next week is the last week, and even though I'm excited, but I'm
Let's go.
also a bit exhausted. So, all right, your
Yes.
turn. Something else that happened in your life.
I'm trying to think. It's just been an emotionally exhausting month.
It's like I'm just
That's
emotionally
pretty
drained.
much
I need a
it
vacation.
is. Right. I need a vacation. In fact, Yennefer was here right after the hurricane, and I did not schedule it in. And so I didn't even get to see Yennefer when she came down. She was like 2 hours away, and I could have gone to see her, but I
It was crazy. It
did
was so
not
crazy that
properly
we couldn't
plan.
even fit that in, right? So on top of all that, I traveled to Texas for a business
Yes.
conference, and it was an amazing time at the business conference. So like, it was so many pros and cons because I'm like the electricity, the children, the event. I wanted to see you. It was just so much going.
Yes.
I was like, when I got to the hotel, I was like, I could take a warm bath because we still didn't have
Yes.
power. I saw people in the lobby that were trying to say hi to me. I was like, I haven't showered like in a nice shower in a week. I don't think you want to hug me, so I'll be right back. So I would run to my room, get dressed, take a shower. I was in there for like 2 hours in the shower. And I came back
Uh,
and I had to continue to do what we had to do for the event. So yeah, I would have loved to see you. There will be
yes.
plenty of more trips to Texas. For some reason, a lot of the business conferences that I get plugged into happen in Texas.
Which is hilarious because everything that I get plugged into is in Florida, which is where you used to live,
I
which is
know.
originally how we met, guys, like in Florida at a
But in
business
Florida.
conference. Yep, exactly. So it's like, it's just, yeah. So Texas is a great one. There wasn't ever anything in Vegas when we lived in Vegas. So I'm
Yeah.
glad we're a little bit closer to things that are out here.
Yeah, Texas and Orlando are like the big states for like business conferences,
Hmm.
like Nashville, as
Hmm.
well, another one for like business conferences. So, we love events, we love to travel, and I love to be around like-minded people and people that are, doers and dreamers. If if I had more time, I would be in more
Yes.
events, to be honest.
Yes.
But I just love
So much
the
fun.
room with doers and dreamers, and everybody needs that. Like, especially if you're in the
Yes.
business world, you want to be around people that are not watching the news, that are not thinking about all the bad negative things, that people that are thinking
Yes.
about big things, dreaming, even if they're not currently doing it, but they're like, they're on this mission and they want more
Yes.
in life. And
And you
that is
just
why I
think the
love,
same.
yeah,
Changes everything when you can talk to people that think same as you. And you're just like, oh my gosh, we can just chat. We can be instant best friends because we're like solving the problems and we're fixing them and
yep,
working through stuff. Yes, absolutely.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. Okay, anything else you want to share about our craziness? It's just been a
Think
busy,
it's been crazy.
it's been crazy, busy. We don't want us, you guys to think that we just like peace out, disappear from the face of the planet after we started doing these videos. But it's
Yes.
crazy. We just want to be real with you guys, catch up, and share with you guys a little of the behind the scenes and how we
Yes.
still just moving forward. Like at the end of the day, I think like the way that we kind of like wrap this up is like no matter what goes on in our lives, we're still moving forward just because some avenues and our path kind of like deviate and we're like, okay, then we got to do this, we figure things out, we still keep going to our ultimate goal, our
Yes.
goals, we still working even if something slow us down or little things pop in the way to try to derail us from what God has called us to do, we still keep moving forward. That's really, I think,
Yes.
like the ultimate theme of this video. What do you think?
I think so. Just keep pushing, guys. Just make it work.
Yeah, you
You
keep
got
moving forward.
this. Keep going.
Yep. So we'll see you guys in the next video. We are planning to bring some guests really, really soon. We were talking about that this morning, so we can't wait for that. So make sure that you like, subscribe, share all the things. If you guys have any people that you want us to maybe bring on, you can share them in the comments. If you have any ideas of things you want to hear from us about or topics, please put them in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Bye, guys.